Welcome into Season 2, Episode 1 of the Car Biz Chronicles. I love doing these so much because they're a little bit more long form and they're always around a topic. So last year on Season 1, we talked all about vendors and the relationship with dealers and how to approach that and how those relationships work. This year I decided to sit down, a little one-on-one fireside chat with some of the best and brightest people that I know of. And this first episode is the best way to kick this off because this year's theme is hashtag people and process. That's all we're talking about on these episodes. There are 7 of them. You're going to see a blend of people from sales manager, like we're kicking today off with, fixed ops, executives, salespeople. Like we are bringing you a blend of people, again, because it is about people and process and how they go about doing their business. So, episode 1, James Merrill. Dude, I followed dude long time on online LinkedIn, and I thought to myself, if I was looking for someone with a different perspective, someone who'd been doing this a while but is so up on digital, so up on the discussion, would this be my guy? Reached out. He said he was in totally. So to have him on the show is a real pleasure. James talks about things like, I have a bunch of notes here. He's got things written down like follow-up is the follow-through. Talks a lot about work ethic. He's been doing this since the 70s. That got him the nickname, from me and my wife, that 70s car guy. We loved it. We loved the way he approached things. We loved the way he discussed his passion for the business. You could see that it was there. We also talked a lot about B-backs. And if you hear any noise or disruption in this podcast, that is probably because someone's phone went off. And they know who they are. They were in the room. But that was not our fault. So other than that, besides that slight interruption, you need to sit back, grab a pen, and write tons of notes because James Merrill is about to blow your mind. Thank you so much and enjoy episode 1 of the Car Biz Chronicles. Welcome in, friends, to another episode of the Car Biz Chronicles Season 2, hashtag people and process. We are excited to be talking all about people and process here. I'm joined today by James Merrill. James, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for
It's awesome.
Appreciate
it's
having
great. Yeah, it's awesome. So you are a sales manager.
Correct.
How long have we been in the business?
I started in the 70s, late 70s, right out of high school. Actually, in high school, cleaning off cars, shoveling the lot, plowing, washing cars.
Whatever it took.
Yeah.
That's where I got my start. So late 70s. So we're talking about a 40-year car guy here, folks, which to me is really interesting because I think we can talk a lot about people and process and how you've probably evolved given that time. So what's the current role? Sales manager at where?
At the Acura store in Schaller Acura in Manchester, Connecticut.
Okay. And you've been there how long?
7 years.
7 years.
A little over 7 years. Yeah.
Awesome. New, used? You guys share a desk? How does it work in your world?
I am the sales manager, so I handle it all.
You both do new, used, appraisals, everything?
There's a general manager and me and a finance manager.
Okay. And how does that work on days off?
What?
Days
what?
Exactly. I think you'd say that. That's why I set you up. Good job. Today is the day off because we're closed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We had been open Sundays for a long time, but we just recently started closing on Sundays.
So not a state law?
No.
Where you are? Okay, because we have blue laws in the Midwest that require the dealerships
which we would like. But,
yeah, you would.
We to stay in competition with other guys, you had to be open. Some of the other guys closed, so we decided to do it as well. And I think you're seeing a lot more people doing it throughout the country and in the world, realizing that it's important. If you're open Sunday, you're doing the same amount of business. You're just stretching it out to 7 days.
That's it.
You're not doing.
We tested it where we could, and it was just you always found that it was like, guys, we're doing the same number of units, and people seem more frustrated to do it. So.
In today's world where everything is open 365, 24 hours a day, people expect it. But you still have to run a business and have a family and have, quality employees that want to work for you. And if you're open that much. And in a small Acura store, we don't do the volume to need to stay open really that much. Just don't have that type of traffic.
So when you've been in your role 7 years, you've seen quite a bit of change, obviously, through people and process in your 40. But talk about the last, because I feel like the last decade has been some of the biggest.
I'd even shorten it up. The last couple of years has really made a huge change.
Where do you see it the most?
People.
Okay.
In reference to the customer.
Okay.
Their knowledge of what they want, it's changed. Go back to, and I'm sure you did. I know you were sales for a while, and start a walk around. Did you ever open the hood? Obviously, right?
It's a silent walk around. That's how we do it.
Nobody wants to see. When was the last time anyone asked any of my guys to open the hood? Nothing.
Nothing.
They don't.
When's the last time you did a silent walk around in general?
They don't want it.
No.
To me, a customer today is even a first-time customer to me needs to be treated like a be-back. They've already gone on my website, they've looked at my inventory, they've looked at my reviews, they've looked at my salesman. They, sadly to say, probably know as much, if not more, about the car they want to buy than the guy that's selling it to them.
Correct.
It's just what it is today. They say they spend 1.2 dealerships before they make a purchase. It's for the brand. It's not all. They look at a multitude of dealerships, but they really the 1 to 1.5 dealerships of what they've selected. And when they come into my store, they've selected my store for a reason. Right?
You're part of the 1.5. Whether you're the one
correct
or
if
the half,
not,
it doesn't make a difference. You're either not going to the next store, or you've already been to the one and I'm the half, and now we're here.
And what can I do to keep you at my store? Right.
Right.
It's got to be something that we either do, say, or the product that we have that's going to make the difference.
But it's interesting you say it like that, because I hear you say it, and I hear you say it with such an appreciation for what it should be.
Well,
which is the respect of their time and energy they put into this purchase.
Think about it. Someone has spent all that time, researching. And
when's the last time you spent 15 hours researching something? That wasn't a house, a kid, or a car.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing.
So, but we don't respect it. In houses, people respect the hell out of it. In children, I don't have any, but they respect the hell out of it.
It's still very different.
Yeah.
They're educated today, which is a great thing. I'd rather have someone that knows exactly what they want when they walk into my store than someone that wants to drive 5 or 6 different cars and have no clue.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it out loud, because Saturdays, when I started, were the worst.
Yeah.
Because that's all the looky-loos would come out. You'd take 5 ups, they would all kick tires, and you hope they'd be a B-back. Yeah. Now, if you get 5 ups in one day, you better sell 2 cars.
You're lucky if you have 5 customers in a day as an individual sales. That would be, for our store, that would be
incredible.
A monster day for somebody.
Yeah, it would be a huge Saturday.
We don't have that type of traffic. Floor traffic is down, so it's internet, it's BDCs, which, BDCs, there's a good and a bad thing about it.
Sure.
They're a necessity when you don't have a staff that can handle incoming phone calls correctly and kind of weed things out. And unfortunately today, I think we have more of not a sales consultant or a sales advisor. We don't have salesmen or saleswomen anymore. Someone who really knows how to sell.
No.
They are too quick to just take what the customer wants and bring it to the manager and ask me more questions than they're willing to ask the customer.
Correct.
And it's frustrating. If you're an old dog guy like me that's been, I remember going back that I would never have walked into my manager's office without a complete purchase order and a check or cash in my hand with a deposit to ask for a sale price, right?
Dude.
Today, they're asking and they're, I need a commitment to be able to say yes in a car in stock to be able to know if I can make a deal. There's a lot of what ifs and hypotheticals on the sales floor, and it's really tough because
it's insane because it's not that way.
They don't know how to ask. They're afraid to ask for the sale. They're afraid if I literally ask you for the sale, I may lose the sale.
I was just telling a story in Toronto when I was a salesman. I had a customer make an offer, and I was like, "Cool. So, what? Did you have a credit card? Did you have cash down? How did you want me to bring it up to the proposal?" Well, just go tell him. Like, it doesn't work that way. I gotta have collateral. Guy gives me his 8-year-old. That's what he did. He's like, "Take the kid with you." I'm like, "Well, that's weird, but I'll take the guy, take the kid to the desk." Boss is like, "Was the kid in the bathroom?" I'm like, "No, dude, this is his collateral. Make your car deal."
This is his deposit.
Yeah, he's like, "Well, this is crazy. Sean, never seen this before." I mean, we were in Chicago. You've seen Rolex watches. I mean, people had whatever it was, but still, we were doing it because you had to have that mental buy-in to do it.
It's
walk up to the desk and go, "Hey, James, maybe if they might." I would get fired. I'd have been fired.
Right. Yeah. Well, instantly. Today's world, you have to be a little bit different in that because of the sales consultant, sales clerk, whatever you want to call them.
Order taker, so I've heard people say.
That's kind of what they've evolved into.
Sure.
And it's tough because you go back years ago, my sales guys were extremely educated. They were well dressed. They knew their product. They knew their customer.
It's a whole big
they'd
thing.
Get up, they'd shake their hand, they'd go help them with a flat tire. They would do but they made a couple of bucks, right?
Sure.
And now we're manufacturers. It's a lust of desire of volume sales by the manufacturers that has forced this onto the individual dealership.
Yes.
They want numbers so bad.
They're wholesalers.
Correct. That we are now selling our cars for nothing or less.
To
Which
move it
everybody
off the lot.
does. It's not just us. Everybody's
No,
doing
because there's a kickback program that all
Right.
comes with it, and put the money on the hood
It is,
retrospectively.
But around here, dealers throw that out too. They
Well, right, you've already negotiated into your deal to get to your unit.
They've given all that away
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah.
But how much can I pay my salesman?
After you've done that.
Right.
Right.
So everybody's working off a flat. So
Everyone's making mini deals.
and today you need a more educated salesman because of the amount of equipment that's in a car. They have to be extremely knowledgeable of what the cars are, what programs are, what's out there today, compliance issues. There's so much more that they have to know, but we're not allowing them to make the money that the old school guys used to make that were really good at what they did.
Correct.
You know, there was a really good salesman that would come out. And you know, a salesman, I'm not doing anything wrong when I help you buy the car. I overcome your objections and I give you that little nudge. Everybody needs a little push to buy a car.
Yeah, if you didn't want to be sold, you wouldn't be standing on my showroom floor.
Correct.
That's how I've always
They
felt
just
about it.
need some guidance. They don't want to be sold. They want guidance and knowledge, right? That's what they really want in today's world.
As long as we
They
stop
want-
selling and start helping.
They want somebody with confidence that listens to them and answers their questions and helps them into the car of their dreams. You know, having that car in your driveway tomorrow morning.
But you've already said a couple things that it frustrates me to think salespeople can't be more motivated, right? You got BDCs, you got customers who are already educated. You got people who are only visiting a dealership and a half. Like, I sound old when I say this, but if I had those things when I was a salesman, there's a high probability I'd still be selling because I could have my own life.
It would be a dream, right?
I think so.
You know,
I think so.
it's a different world of people who are working today for this type of industry. That's what I've seen. You know, you asked the question, what have I seen in the major change? You know, the internet to me is a good thing. It's brought me more customers. It brings me customers that I've never had before. They don't just thumb through a paper, drive onto your lot. If someone comes out on my lot for a Subaru or a Chevy, and they drove for 2 hours, and they tell me I'm $2,000 too high, I always smile and say, you know, I appreciate you driving all that way to let me know. They didn't drive that far to my lot to find it. So it doesn't matter what car you have anymore.
Yeah,
and
they
what
want to
you
make a
put on your
deal.
lot, you can still sell it. So the internet has helped me. It brings me customers that I've never had before.
I got to tell you, I like to hear that, man. People in your position don't talk that way.
Well,
They don't thank the internet for nothing.
It helps me sell my cars all over. We sell them all over.
Okay.
Wholesale, the wholesale auction companies now, we sell them all over the country. From East Coast, we sell them to Texas and Ohio and Oregon, and we have people flying in. As funny as it sounds to me, to fly in from Ohio to buy a car.
What'd you have?
We had
You had something?
Yeah, well, we had an older MDX with really low miles that are hard
Yeah.
to come by, and he wanted one. He had one. Total didn't want another one. I get it,
I was looking around. The internet brought him to you.
but for me, it's a great thing.
It's awesome. That's a deal you would have never had otherwise.
Right.
Without it.
You know, it hurts you a little bit because everybody puts everything out there. You know.
So much so your manufacturer is pretty specific on what you can and
Right.
cannot say on price.
Well,
Whether anyone looks or not is another story.
We can't do anything more than like MSRP on our advertisements and things like
Right.
that.
But we don't. Isn't that so funny? They give you that mandate, but they would never mandate you sell a car anywhere near that number.
No, but then they also put the invoice out on for everybody to see. So, for me, think about it. We're the only industry that has a commission-based sales consultant. We put a price on the car, and then we put the invoice out on the internet
Yep.
and all dealer cash and everything.
Every incentive. Yep.
And then we tell the guy to go earn a living.
Correct.
Do you know any other industry that do? If you knew a farmer got
no.
25 cents for a gallon of milk, would you pay $4 at the grocery store? Absolutely not.
No.
But we don't question.
I live in Wisconsin. We get farm fresh eggs for $2. I'm not going to go to the grocery store and get them for $6.
Right. But
$3 says the peanut gallery, but still, I'm not going to go to the grocery store and pay $6 because there's my farmer right here for $3.
But you don't question it, right?
No, I don't.
We do in the car industry.
We
What's
always
going to
do.
happen, the way I see it, is eventually the car industry, because the front end, and you had talked about market, compression and monies
Yeah.
and everything are gone in the front.
It's real.
That it will be someday there will be a one price. Like if you want to buy an Apple Watch or an Apple phone, and no matter what store you go into, it's the same price, right?
Yeah.
That will happen in the car industry because there's no money left to give. I can't discount my car anymore.
So we all become one price stores. Within reason.
In a sense.
Within reason.
But now it's going to be
That'll be service though.
who has a better service, who's got a good reputation, who can still have a sales consultant that knows what he's doing. And that's where the rub is going to be, is how you learn how to pay your guys to still have quality sales.
How has that process changed for you? Paying process? Designing pay plans?
It's tougher.
Yeah.
You used to base it off of just a
Gross
commission
profit
or,
unit
chargebacks
program,
or whatever the case may be. Now you can't. You're giving the guys flats, you know.
Salaries or just flats on unit?
We feel that if I don't give a pretty good salary, I won't. You know, how can a guy make a living, right?
Right.
How's he going to want to stay with me? You
Sure.
know, you know.
Because the salary thing's new in the last 5 years.
Right. Well,
that was never a thing.
We do salary plus commission or flats.
Right.
You know, we have if it's invoice or over, you're going to get a certain amount of dollars. If it's under invoice, you're still going to get something.
Is there used car gross involved?
No, used car we're still doing flats on used, but
Okay.
we never charge you back. And if I'm selling a car light, you still get the same amount. And it's a pretty healthy dollar amount for you.
That's nice.
You know, so we don't penalize the guys for me having it. You have all the chance in the world to make your money. When you get a manager involved, you're going to get what you get because I had to do it. But we're still going to move a unit, right?
Yeah.
So
you still pay them?
Correct.
Okay.
You know, they get paid for everything. You know.
But figuring out that pay plan, that process has become more difficult over time.
That's why we kind of went to a flat system. It's so hard.
With the salary.
It's so hard. You know,
Makes a lot of sense, though.
You know, the guys know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no question. But you know,
make them lazy. Make them lazy.
Any lazier than they already are. Salesmen are lazy to begin with, right?
Inherently, and I don't get it because I never was.
They're a lazy group of guys.
I don't get it.
And you know,
when did that happen though? Why is that? Do you have anything you can pin it down on?
No, but I wouldn't have to go out and question them every day about their ups. And I have one-on-ones with my guys every day. I call them in the office and we review what happened yesterday, and the day before, and the whole month. And I'm astonished how many guys haven't put notes in their CRM system, haven't called their customers back from the day before, delivered a car, haven't done their follow-up.
And if I said do a lot walk every morning, that's probably not something.
They'll walk it, but they won't look.
They'll
walk to get to
they'll
their
walk
car.
in to check their steps
To get to their
car,
phone or
but
they won't look at what's out there.
Gotcha.
You know, people see, but they don't look.
Because again, that's an old school thing, man. We had to. You couldn't go after you punched in. You couldn't go even think about looking at the fresh ups until you knew it came in over
you know what it is?
2 days.
It's the phone. Because we have everything on the phone.
Yeah,
we have
so I can
everything
go look
in
at
inventory.
inventory there.
They just look. They don't. You know. They don't. I used to look at the cars, look at the history.
Touch
you know,
it, smell it,
right,
feel
get in
it.
and talk to the customer.
Know
about
it.
Pull out the history report. You know, I have a folder on every used car. It's going to give you the Carfax and our service.
How many people ask for them anymore?
We show them. We
I understand, but
yeah.
if you didn't,
Very few.
because customers don't use the word anymore.
Right, because it's like standard equipment. You know, when I started selling cars, power windows and locks, tilt and cruise weren't standard
Sure.
equipment. Those were all options. Now they say I want to stand. That's standard equipment. You know, it's just like Carfax. Just everybody does it. You
Right.
know?
Although it's one entity in our business I don't really care for because there's no competition, so
Right.
the price
Well,
is ridiculous. But
They also
That's not what we're here for.
Well, they also forced it on us, right?
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
Their commercials were, you know, if you're not going to a Carfax.
then
go
don't
to-
believe them. They're a bunch
go
of
to
liars.
somebody
No,
who
I
is.
know. That's what I'm saying.
So
and here we are paying them thousands of dollars to make us look like dicks. I have a problem with that.
They forced
fundamentally.
us to do Carfax.
Yeah.
It's a smart move on their part. They
Sure.
forced the dealers to do it. I see inconsistencies on Carfax. I'm
Oh,
on
dude,
there
come
all
on.
the
If my
time.
buddy owns a body shop and I give him a case of beer, my car never makes it on Carfax. I got news for you.
Well, you know, if you're not a Carfax dealer, it's not on there to begin with. But I just see clerical errors all the time that I have to correct, and people come in and, you know, recently I had a guy who lived in Connecticut, and somebody in California did the wrong VIN by 1 digit, and it was his car. And it showed yesterday he had an oil change in California, and today he's in my store. You know, there's no way that happens, right? You can't drive, you know. So, but it's a clerical error that affects the next guy that buys it.
Sure.
So all those things have to be corrected.
Sure.
And even my guys, like a service guy might put in the wrong.
I mean, it used to be based on the mileage. Mileage rollbacks in these new cars. It's not a thing.
That is.
It's not a thing.
They're just looking for accidents. How
Yeah.
many owners? And now Carfax is cool, and not to go off on the Carfax thing, but they do damage as compared to accidents, which is nice. 'Cause
Sure.
It's easy to explain somebody damaging, maybe someone backed into their own mailbox, scratched the fender, whatever. When it
As
always
opposed to
said,
the frame came off.
well, when it always said accident, they just always thought the worst.
Yeah, they did.
So, you know, it has helped.
Fair enough. All right, too much time on a
Yeah.
company that I could do without.
I hear you.
Yeah, but I get why they're valuable.
Yeah.
In your stores, when you look at process, what is for you right now with salespeople? What process then, if they're not selling, what process are you laser focused on from the desk perspective?
You know, follow up with their customers. Not just follow up, but follow through. You know,
Okay.
follow through is different from follow up. You know,
Follow up's a job. Follow through is living it.
Well, it's doing your promise. If you
That's
make
what I
a
mean.
promise to somebody, you do it. You know, and it's taking care of your. You know, if you have a limited base of customers, you darn well better follow up and follow through for repeat customers, right? But
Do your salespeople do that? Do your salespeople put that much focus on the people they've already sold cars to, or is it about to sell the next
a
one?
couple people do. I got a girl that's been there 28 years.
At your store?
Yep.
Okay. She doesn't take fresh ups.
Only if I need her to.
Well, right,
She-
that's
she'd
what I'm
be
saying. But
happy
her
to.
life is not. No. Her life is appointment
She
based.
sells more cars than anybody every year.
She should though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, she's great.
Yeah.
You know.
She greets them in the service drive. She helps them there.
She,
She's a consummate professional.
Wish I had, 4 of them.
Right. But you have one.
Every store's got one.
Sure, we all did. They wouldn't be a store.
Right.
They've all got one.
That you kind of base a lot of things off.
Best practices.
Yeah. And she does everything right by the book, the right way. But she's old school, not in a bad way, but how we used to do things.
Yeah. So when you say follow up, follow through, and you talk about salespeople process, are you relating also to CRM usage? You mentioned it earlier.
CRM is big in today's world. It's really hard. I remember my desk. I used to have all the pull it out. You
want to get the Rolodexes
the
right
pink.
now?
Well, yeah, and I had all the pink slips from the.
Hell yeah, Hell yeah.
In compliance worlds today, you can't keep that at your desk.
No, I used to have the sales bills in a binder so I could go back through each month and reference.
You can't do that. So it all has to be stayed within the system.
Yeah.
But any system, any computer system, if you're not putting proper information in, you can't extract it, right?
Correct.
And
garbage in, garbage out.
Why you wouldn't want to put all the information in, so I could help you if you're not there, and other sales.
Isn't this beyond you? Like, I don't understand why. And it isn't a cheap bill that you and ownership pay for these products, yet we can't get buy-in because, frankly, the salespeople don't pay for the CRM, so they don't see what it is.
They got to buy into this kind of stuff, and when they finally see that there's an advantage to it, and makes their job easier.
How do you get buy-in on CRM notes? Do you do it old school?
The way you do it is, if I can show you that it's valuable, is a day that you're not there and I sell a car because of what your notes told me, as compared to a day you're not there and I got to call you on the phone and I'm a little upset that I don't find any notes in your system to help your customer.
So I can sell your customer.
Right. So if you find that there's value in it, the more notes I have in there, the more other people can help me when I'm not available. Why shouldn't that be a great thing, right?
Agreed.
But it still goes back to a little bit of being just a salesman or salesman. By nature, they're a little bit lazy,
Sure.
Or they wouldn't be in this job, right?
Yeah, because if they wanted a 9 to 5 where someone was standing over their shoulder, they could go get that.
Or everybody would be a manager.
Correct.
The guys who are great salesmen don't always make good managers.
I made the worst.
But some of them make good managers.
Yeah, I made the worst. I made a terrible desk manager a much better general.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I just did the desk guy.
You got mad because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, or seeing it what the reality of what was supposed to be done.
You
got frustrated because it's a simple. Sales are simple. I mean, legitimate.
That's how I feel. We've talked about it today. It's not rocket science.
Process. Sales is 101. I don't care what you're selling. The meet and greet, the needs assessment, right down the line.
Value adds. Let's move on.
And the closing, right? It's a few steps in between.
Sure.
Right? But if you start skipping steps or not using them,
then they're as good as they are.
Right.
See, when we had a CRM problem back in the day, and I got so pissed off at the guys that I started to find them. If I didn't find a note, or you didn't log your ups, you'd come into a number on your desk and it was a fine.
You had a post on.
I did, and people say you can't do that to people. Why can't I?
Yeah.
I'll AR the shit out of you if I have to, because I need you to get it. If you understand money, if it was time, then you almost hold them after to go over. I said, hey guys, we're gonna have CRM training from 9 to 10 o'clock. What? We're already here till 9 p.m. You're gonna keep us here till 10 to learn the CRM? Clearly, you don't know how to use it. But that was the old school Chicago sort of, pound them in the face instead of maybe sit with them and ask them.
I train them all the time.
You're a constant trainer. That's all you're ever talking about.
And I'm just boggled how I have to continue saying the same thing to the same guys without them getting it. And I got a good group of guys. I really do. You could blow somebody out that and try to get some new people, but trying to work the guys you have that have been with you. Other than the new guy that I had who's only been with me like a half a year, everybody's been with me for years.
Gotcha.
And even longer than me.
You have an established veteran staff.
Absolutely. Our whole plate, the general manager, the service manager, they've been there since 1986 when the doors opened. We have extremely light turnover.
Wow.
I mean, when I have to hire somebody, it's almost like more of a hassle for me because I don't know how to put them into the systems and do all the stuff that needs to be done.
Because you don't do it frequently enough.
Right, we just don't. We're not a massive. I'd rather work with you and get you, try to get you to be the salesman that I hired. I must have saw something in you when I hired you, or I wouldn't have hired you.
And so, do you, with that sort of situation, right, where guys are embedded as they are, in the people side of the thing, where is the opportunity to advance? If everyone is so embedded.
Not everybody wants to advance.
Okay. Fair. First question I ever got asked in an interview, do you want my job? And I was like, yeah. GM's like, that's what I wanted to hear.
Right.
And I thought,
but not everybody wants that.
Okay.
Not everybody has it in
People are cool with just being salesmen, making whatever they make. As long as they made it, they're happy to pay their bills.
I often tell them if they're If they're just looking to make it through the day to go home and eat a bag of chips and watch TV, they're all doing a great job. But great isn't good enough. You need to be better than that if you want to make something of yourself, right?
Sure.
If you just want to make it through the day and sell a couple of cars, you're always going to have those guys.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can make this a living that way.
If you're satisfied with that.
For
me, I'm not, you know.
Well, neither am I. What process do you think's changed the most over the last 5 years on the front half?
Speed.
Speed of deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Time is a new currency, if you want to say it like that for people.
Yeah.
That's
all we have.
Do you know how hard it is to get a man and a woman or spouses in the same room at the same time in today's world, with both working so many hours and kids and jobs? If you can get a husband and wife or whatever the case may be in front of you at one time, that's tough to do.
In my dealership at the same time? Hell yeah. So that part of it, speed to deal. Do you look at what happens inside the showroom, speed to deal? How much time between desk pencils and all of that?
Yes, my office is right out front. It's a glass office. I can see everybody. They can all see me. I don't hide from anybody or whatever. But that's the thing I keep harping on. Like they can't understand that people want to be faster. In today's world of Amazons and we're in a microwave world, right? And you order something that's on your doorstep that the next morning. Everything you do is fast.
And if it's not, I've got questions.
And they come into the car dealership and they run into someone who's takes a couple 3 hours. They've lost the customer.
Yeah, they've lost.
Think about this: when a customer walks in, they've been thinking about buying this car. Let's say the Acura, right? For 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
They've researched it the whole way over. They're talking how excited they are about the car. They come walking in the showroom. They're ready to buy this car, and then they got some end table sitting at the front desk and just goes, "Hey," their emotion just went.
They followed you.
They need to match the emotions. You need to keep the people's emotions as high as long as you can before you start talking finance. Because once you start that, it becomes a whole different process, right?
Absolutely.
But you have to shorten the whole thing. You need a shorter of a test drive. You need a shorter of an. Do
you guys even go on test drives?
Yeah.
Your salespeople do? Really?
Yeah.
No satellites in your world? That's a big part of your process. No satellites. Sit in the car, listen.
Yeah.
It's imperative.
We go for it, right?
I call it test drive intel.
Well, it's the old, you can't seal the deal if they don't feel the wheel, right? You got to get them out in the car.
That's right.
You got to get them. People buy from emotion.
Yeah.
And if you just want to walk in and talk to me about pricing, it's tough.
It is tough. I don't want to drive the car. Really?
I drove one last. Well, it's a new model. It's a new make.
Yeah. No, I drove at the last store.
Well, there's a couple ways to get around that. If I tell my guys, well, they won't want to drive. I said, tell you what, just pull one up. Don't even ask them. Just go out back, pull the car up, and tell them, folks, I got one of those cars where I told you I didn't want to drive it. I said, I'm not asking you to drive it.
Look at it.
But I tell you what, there's a lot of new electronic equipment, and I can't start the one in the showroom. And I just want to show you what I have going on out here.
Okay.
They get in the car, you adjust their seat, you start playing with the thing.
Do the walk around from the back seat around to the front,
and
the walk around the front seat.
I tell you what, folks.
Close the door.
You're already in it. Why don't we just take a rip around the block?
That's it. And 9 times out of 10, people will be like, honey, should we? And of course we should.
Go.
Let's drive. And if it's the one guy who doesn't, then that guy probably is fixed on price. Let's get inside and see if we can make it.
Then you understand. But see, that's what a good salesman does. He knows when to push in certain directions and then find out.
Speed up, slow down, like you said.
Right.
So speed to deal. How you focus on it? Do you have an aim that you go for when a customer hits the showroom? I mean, I know not all dealers are created equal.
No.
But do you see a marker where you're like, dude,
well,
we got to get involved here.
I do as a manager. I'm watching test drives. I'm freaking out. They're out too long. I want my demo back for the next guy.
Sure.
I got customers waiting. So I'm always like on the thinking I'm 2 steps ahead, and that's what a manager does compared to a salesman.
Agreed.
I'm 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody. It's even when they're calling the desk for something, and I tell them I want you to say something. The reason I want you to say what I'm telling you is I've already had this scenario once in my life, and I'm already know what I'm going to say after their response, and then again after that. And if you don't say what you're saying, it kind of screws you all up, right?
Yeah.
So there's timing. So, as a manager on the floor, especially in a small store, I'm involved in all deals.
You're coming out most of them, handshaking, helloing?
Absolutely best I can. Yeah. It's a touch the desk requirement.
Is the process still for salespeople to sit on the side of the customer when you come over?
I kind of have them step away.
Oh,
if I have to sit down and negotiate, I want them to step away because I don't want them chiming in. Unless I ask them a question or the customer asks them a question.
Interesting.
When I do a walk by or just come over and a meet and greet, they're there. But if they're coming over, they're calling me saying I need a TO. And when I walk over, they'll get up and walk away. And I want to sit down. I want to sit with. I don't want to stand up.
Sure, no. I would have you sit in my chair, and then I go sit on the other side with the customers, and I sit next to them.
I kind of have them just step.
I get what you mean, but yeah.
Glass cubicles, and they're within earshot. So
but I see your point is I don't need you coming in and telling me.
Well, you already had your chance.
Right.
And when you start chiming in, or
you
trying to
things.
overtalk me, it doesn't look good in front of the customer or,
etc.
Do
you see speed come up a lot in your CSI as to why maybe things were good or bad?
Yes. You see it on what they're asking for time in the finance box. They want you in and out of there in less than 30 minutes. And you know what? In Connecticut, and I know you and I have spoken about this a little bit, the amount of compliance paperwork we have is brutal.
It's insane.
It's absolutely
brutal. The automotive space has become overrun with
it. And there's so many things that the customer has to sign and check out. And we do it on the tablets. They sign once and we do all our electronic billing through Acura, right on there, so everything goes straight through. But it's still a lot. And my best salesman is my F&I guy.
Yeah.
And probably in most stores. He's selling intangible objects to people that they may or may never use.
Who don't want to be there.
And he hasn't had any rapport with them.
No.
Within 5 minutes, he's selling them product, which is, we're relying on that right now in this industry. So he's my best sales guy, whether he knows it or not.
F&I push is a big part of it, for sure. So with people, because you have an embedded staff, do you change processes often? Do you look to tweak and how does that buy-in go?
we as times change, we change.
Okay.
If I was still doing what I did way back when, it wouldn't work.
You'd be out of business.
Right, and like I said, the biggest thing is time right now. People want to have a shorter time. When it goes back to that coming in that they're already a be-back into my showroom. They need to be treated like they already know, you're my be-back customer. You already know what you want.
Yeah, my be-back should go faster than his original visit.
Correct.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And they already know what they want.
And the people part of it, if they don't buy into it, how do you handle it? When you want to change something, you want to tweak a process, and they don't want to buy in, what happens with an embedded staff with very little turnover?
Well, I'm pretty fortunate that they have so far.
Cool.
We have let a few guys go over the years, because they're just not cutting it.
Because regardless of who someone is, they can't be above the process of the store themselves. Interesting.
Without that, it's chain of command, right? And processes and leadership, and without that, now, it's different today because everybody's a little bit different, right?
Sure.
It's funny how you hear all these coaches and everybody out there on LinkedIn and everything right now talking about once you hire somebody, you have to learn what makes the individual tick and then go to that.
Yeah.
And I always find that funny that you came to me, I hired you to do a job, and now I have to find individual motivation to get you to do the job that I hired you to do, that you came to me to get. And if I don't find that little motivation button for you, you have all the excuses not to do the job I hired you for, which is just bizarre to me.
It's crazy.
But it's what it is today.
It is.
Each person, you have to find out what their, because it's not money all the time, which just kills me, because that was my drive.
You and I talked about that.
That's my drive.
I know.
Is money.
We've talked about it here on these episodes already, that money is what happens.
Right.
But that's changed over time.
But you put,
right?
you put bonuses on certain cars and stuff.
Yeah.
My guys will walk by and not even look at it. And I said, I would have said, I know you're here.
It's the first car I'm going to sell.
I was going to say, I know you're here to look at this, but why don't you sit in this one while I pull the other one? I mean, I would always show the money car, right?
Always.
But
always.
As a manager, I want to push it. It's for inventory reasons and days on the lot. It's not that there's anything wrong with the cars, but it's just I put more money on to liquidate.
Yeah, or I got stuck with in Chicago. We used to have really bad habits of like price leader cars. So we'd have like a 2004 brand new Blazer that'd be priced at like $19,900 because it had no back seat.
Yeah.
and I'd get the guy who's like, dude, I'm after the $20,000 Blazer. I'm like, cool. Are you looking for a pickup truck Blazer? And he'd go, what? And I'd say, well, walk over here. Turns out, dude was a painter, loves the idea of not having a back seat in his Blazer, and it was a home run. But
creativity as a salesman.
And I didn't have, I wasn't thinking about a process. I was thinking about how annoying these customers are to sell instead of, all right, well, let's just make lemonade, right? Because this dude, maybe there will be someone who doesn't need a back seat in their Blazer.
The best thing is any salesman is, first of all, their job doesn't start till the customer says no, right?
Agreed.
If anybody
You're
just walked in,
right?
If everybody just come in and said, I'll take it. But getting somebody to buy a car, when someone walked in and told you no, there's no more satisfaction for a real salesman when someone says, no, I'm just here looking today, I'm not here to buy, and you're waving goodbye as they're driving off the lot.
It's the best.
right? Because that's what you do.
Right, because they open it with that, right? They say, I'm not here to buy anything, and I always open with, cool,
challenge.
I'm not here to sell you, I'm just here to show things today, so don't worry about it. Let's just go do this
that
together.
takes the pressure off of me, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
But you've lowered...
I don't have all day to do that with you, but we can do it for a little bit.
Right.
I got other things I got to do.
There's a lot of guys that are very quick to give them a lot of knowledge and escort them to the door rather than asking that last question.
And you said something earlier about a mandated desk touch.
I want, there are times being an only sales manager that I'm out on appraisal or
Correct.
I'm
You
desking
don't
another
touch
deal
this.
or I'm doing a TO. And I hopefully, my F&I guy will come out if he's available to try to help, And the general manager upstairs, he does an awful lot of desk and deals with us because we're small. It's the three of us run the place. He'll come down, he'll do whatever. We all do whatever. But I want my salesman I want to meet the customer.
Yeah.
I want to say hello. I want to just, if you're not there, you can ask for me. Because
Right.
I'm here. It's my store. This guy may or may not be here tomorrow. I plan on being here. So
Sure.
if he's not there, you have questions, you come see me. Their day off, they'll come in and see me or whatever.
From your position, as we kind of wrap this up, what is one thing you think is important for desk managers to hear who've been, I'm not really talking more about young, new desk managers. I'm talking about established car dogs who potentially are not adjusting to today's setup. What say you?
Well, when a sales guy's coming up to your desk, it's not the time to give him a hard time, right? Because if you're crabbing at him or complaining, this trade is a piece of crap, what'd you
Right, if you're going to yell at him while he's in the process of
right.
a deal, you kill his energy.
You just send him back with nothing.
Yeah, in the same way that the salesman killed the excited customer energy,
right.
You as a desk have now killed my energy.
So you want to send him back, say, I need this trade. Even if you know you don't need the trade, go get it. This is a great car. Get me this trade. Get this sale. What you want to keep them pumped. You can tweak everything after, right? But it's tough. It's tough for the non-sales people to come to the desk because they haven't asked the right questions, and then you're starting to ask them questions and they don't have the answers. Then you got to go over and get them yourself. That's my biggest thing that I say. My guys ask me more questions than they ask their customers, and it boggles my mind how they can do that.
It's crazy.
Well, it's simple, right? Isn't it easier to ask somebody else than it is to figure it out?
Yeah.
To go ask somebody else and then say, well, Jim said it was okay, so when I let him go and the general manager come down and says, what happened to your customer? I said, well, Jim talked to him.
It's not enough. That's not enough.
The problem is if they just call me from the desk, and this is what kills me, is they'll call me from the desk, and because what we do, we have a system, is you're sitting at your desk, you don't go away, you stay with your customer.
Love it.
So when you want a number, you call me from the desk and you say, I'm sitting here with Sean and
then what do you send it to him digitally? He's got it all?
We're right on the phone. I'm at my desk in the computer. We have market-based pricing. You'll open up your book, you'll be able to give the customer what our current market-based price is of the day.
Okay.
So we look at every night what cars are selling for in our area, and if
it's like how you guys do lobster out here.
Yeah, if it's an MD,
it's market price on there. You guys don't give me a price. I'm like, well, can we establish this, or what do we do?
So tell you what though, if a customer has come in and looked at the internet for 3 weeks and they walk in and you give them this ridiculous price, because we don't negotiate it. We used to start at MSRP and worked out. So now you got to give them a market-based price. So if you see a price that you've seen that's at least reasonable, the customer is more comfortable to begin with, right? That's what my salesman will start with. That's the number we serve up. And it depends. If they're financing, it's going to be a different number than if they're paying cash, and if they're leasing, they're all different numbers because they're different incentives. So they have a sheet of every car I have new, and we'll have that number. They'll call the desk, and I'm sitting here with Sean and his wife with selected stock number, whatever the MSRP is and the lease price is, and they want to do 15,000 miles a year. I'll ask them a couple questions. They're on the phone with a customer. I'm right on my computer. I tell them, you tell them their payment is, and then I say, don't hang up. I want to hear what you say. I'm not eavesdropping, but I don't want him to say something. I want him to tell him what I told him to say.
Right.
And then if there's,
Yeah, but that's a cool process, man, because it saves time. It saves that fear factor from the customer saying to himself,
well, they think,
what's going on back there?
They go around the corner and they talk to somebody and they come back, great news, And
it's a dog and pony show normally.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm in a glass,
so it's
fishbowl. So guy says, you're the guy behind the curtain. I said, no, sir, I'm the guy behind the glass wall right here next to you. I'm not going, I'm right there. I'm not hiding. And I said, that's why I walked over to talk to you. I'm not hiding. I hate the word transparency because to me, transparency.
It's so overused.
It is. And
buzzwordy.
What it means to me is the customer expects me to just throw everything out on the table.
How about we just be honest? Isn't that enough?
Right. And it just means sell me your car at nothing.
Yeah, that's transparency means the
Sell me
bottom.
your car at nothing.
Yeah.
You know, well, what'd you pay for it? Should have nothing to do with them selling.
Do you ask your jeweler what he paid for your
People ask us
the
that
ring you got your
They
wife?
ask it all the time. That's not what you paid for it. Exactly.
Right.
I'm here to, and I'm entitled to make.
Well, then you got silly people who think that $40,000 cars get dropped on our lap by the stork of cars. We don't actually pay anything for them, and somehow we're making $40,000 a car.
Well,
when we make $8.
I say think about it. If you had a $40,000 investment, wouldn't you want to make something from it?
Something.
Yeah.
That races to the
It
bottom.
doesn't matter. Nobody believes you anyway, right?
No, they don't. But you do a good
You can show
job.
them invoices. You can show them whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I've had people say, I've had customers tell me this is the fake invoice,
Yeah,
and I'm just
you just
like,
printed
I don't
this. Yeah.
understand
I just
what that
printed
means.
it out back,
It's
right,
just you think I created a Word doc?
Right.
Like this with Nissan brand? Like, no, I didn't do that.
You get that all the time. But, you know,
Still.
the biggest thing for me, as I tell my guys, is how does someone who buys a car once every 3, 5, or 10 years out negotiate somebody that does this every day for a living?
Ooh.
Just kills me.
Ooh. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. I'd like to see the reaction when you say that to a guy. Does he curl up and think to himself, God, James is right? Or does he go, it's the way it is, bud, sorry?
Well, again, they're too quick to just, if a customer gives them an offer to run into me and say, can you do this offer?
Why don't we just stay there and ask
And,
questions?
right.
Why don't we know what's
I said,
next?
well, you know, for me to do that, let me ask you a couple questions, sir. If you want the same price as you had last time, did you have a trade involved last time? Yeah. Okay, so
Right.
you had equity in your trade, you put $2,500 down. 3 years later, you come in with negative equity, no money down, you want more miles, and you expect your payment to be the same. I'm a mathematician, not a magician. There's only so many things I can do.
That's right.
But your salesman is afraid to ask those questions.
Afraid in general to ask those questions. And I mean, I routinely would go up to the desk, customer give me an offer of they say 21 grand, I go up to the desk and say, hey, 21 grand's your offer. Don't write it back at that.
Yeah.
Give me 21 and a half. Give me 21.75. Give me something, because I think we got more in here. I think I can do this.
You know,
But most guys would say
I
you give it to them.
I tell you what, in today's world, because of the way customers are, I almost want to have a box of participation trophies that I can give my customers on the way out that come in and give me such a low ball offer, and I just, well, thanks for trying, but I'm not selling you that car. And they go, I don't know why you won't sell me the car at my price. Well, because that's less than I own it for. I'm not here to lose money, but that's what I want it for. I understand. Maybe you should buy the base model, not the 10. Well, I want the 10.
The old takeaway close.
Right.
Always the
Well,
best.
you
Folks,
take-
your budget fits this car. Let me pull it up for you.
I have one that fits your needs and one that fits your wants. The one that fits your needs is your budget. The one that fits your wants is... And if you're
Is your
gonna-
desire.
If you're going to drive a car for 5 or 10 years, buy the one that you really want.
Correct.
Because that's small change in the
Long run.
whole long run, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But, I always have one that will fit your budget, but everybody wants a nicer one, right?
That's right, man. I'll say this. I'll close it up with this. You talk about follow-up. Is follow through, and that's the big line that I take away from this discussion, because I think it's something that people need to focus on more and more in our industry. I think it would make everyone's lives easier. James, thank you so much for being on the show, man. You are tremendous. Where can people find you online?
At LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah.
James Merrill, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
I got a Facebook, James at Schaller Acura is pretty active on that.
Check out the Facebook page.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
No problem.
As always, thank you for watching. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the show. Thank you.